तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavivirīditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadātatam Bhuigrananti Ye Bhurida Jana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are in the conversations of Thursday, July 3rd, 1884. The occasion is Return Car Festival in Balram's house. And Thakur is talking to Balram's father and telling him that Vaishnavas, Shaktas also, generally tend to become very narrow. That is not correct or good. And he then says, in Vedas, same thing is called Satchidananda Brahma, Tantras Om Satchidananda Shiva, and Puranas Om Satchidananda Krishna. So they speak of Satchidananda only. Existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. It is stated in the Vaishnava scriptures that it is Krishna himself who has become Kali. So other than these three names with Satchidananda, Thakur shows another reason so that we should not feel any conflict, we should feel harmony through your own scriptures. So the Vaishnava scriptures themselves are telling that who is Krishna is same as Kali. So Thakur has found out in the Vaishnava scriptures the harmonizing spirit. So that is his beauty. Up till now, we have studied. Now, Sri Ramakrishna went to the porch for a few minutes, porch of Balram's house, and then returned. As he was going out, Vishwambar's daughter, 6 or 7 years old, saluted him. Now, we have not been informed who is Vishwambar. And Vishwambar's daughter may be some relation of Balram or neighbor. And the daughter is 6, 7 years old. And her description also, so other than here, we do not get anywhere else. So let us see. Saluted him. On returning to the room, the master began talking to the little girl and her companions, who were of the same age. So she had 1 or 2 companions of the same age. The child to the master, I saluted you and you didn't even notice it. Master smiling, did you? I really didn't notice. Child, then wait, I want to salute you again. So she has saluted 1 foot and then says the other foot too. Sri Ramakrishna laughed and sat down. He returned the salute and bowed to the child, touching the ground with his forehead. So there are 2 reasons here. Everybody is a form of Brahman So Thakur naturally salutes everybody as low as he can. Second point, they are small children, girls, virgins, so they are more a manifestation of the Divine Mother. So he has bowed low. He asked her to sing. The child said, I swear I don't sing. When the master praised her again, because sometimes the child says something, so Thakur praised her. She said, should you praise me when I said I swear? So very clear mind, innocent child but not fool, very clear mind, pure mind. The master was very happy with the children because they are children and because they seem to be very pure, and sang light and frivolous songs to entertain them. Thakur can become anybody, anywhere, become equivalent of anything unless it takes you down. So he sang. The master was very happy with the children and sang light and frivolous songs to entertain them. One of the songs is not given. He sang, come, let me braid your hair, lest your husband should scold you when he beholds you. So children were married in those days. So singing about the husband is only a joke or a fun. It is nothing wrong according to the culture of those days. So he says, let me braid your hair. Otherwise, if the husband says, and your hair are not well kept, he will scold you. The children and the devotees laughed. So the children also liked that song, and all devotees laughed because of the children's song. Master to the devotees. Now, what that puts in the mind of Sri Ramakrishna? To describe that Paramahamsas are like children of 5 years old. He has seen that girl 6, 7 years old and behaved with her accordingly, and that reminds him of the behavior of the Paramahamsas of the highest stage who have realized Brahman, but their behavior becomes like 5-year-old innocent children because there is no ego in them, because there are no knots in their mind. So they behave like that. Master to the devotees, the Paramahamsa is like a 5-year-old child. Paramahamsa is the highest order of sannyasis which are supposed to have separated God from the world and realized God, like the swans separating milk from water and drinking away the milk. That is the legend of the real swans. So the sannyasis also are called Paramahamsas. He sees everything filled with consciousness. So that is the thing. At one time, then he gives some example, not of Paramahamsas, but of 5-year-old children, how they behave. At one time, I was staying at Kamarpukur, his birthplace, when Shivaram was 4 or 5 years old. Shivaram is his brother Rameshwar's younger son. One day, he was trying to catch grasshoppers near the pond. The leaves were moving. To stop their rustling, he said to the leaves, hush, hush, I want to catch a grasshopper. That means he saw that the leaves are full of life like men. And so he asked them to keep quiet because that sound is disturbing the grasshoppers. Another day, it was stormy. It rained hard. Shivram was with me inside the house. There were flashes of lightning. He wanted to open the door and go out. I scolded him and stopped him, but still he peeped out. Now and then, when he saw the lightning, he exclaimed, "There, uncle, they are striking matches again." They are chakmaki jhadche, two pieces of stone, when hit against each other, will spark. So the lightning is shining, but he equates it with some conscious being playing with the marbles. Now he comes to the Paramahansa. The Paramahansa is like a child. He cannot distinguish between a stranger and relative. Example again, he gives Shivram, son. He isn't particular about worldly relationships. One day Shivram said to me, "Uncle, are you my father's brother or his brother-in-law?" That means my father's sister's husband. Are you my father's brother or father's sister's husband? So he does not distinguish between relations of one type and the other. Everybody is near to him, dear to him. The Paramahansa is like a child. He doesn't keep any track of his whereabouts. He is continuously giving the example of Shivram and telling the Paramahansas are like this. By that we can find an image in our mind of how the Paramahansas are, and we can try to imbibe what they are. He sees everything as Brahman. He is indifferent. So Paramahansa sees everything as Brahman. He is indifferent to his own movements. Shivram went to Hriday's house to see the Durga Puja. He slipped out of the house and wandered away. A passerby saw the child, who was then only 4 years old, and asked, "Where do you come from?" He couldn't say much. He only said the word hut. He was speaking of the big hut in which the image of the Divine Mother was being worshipped. That much only he knows. The stranger asked him further, "Whom are you living with?" He only said the word brother. That's all. Beautiful, innocent mind is described. This Shivram was a great favorite devotee of the Holy Mother. Sometimes the Paramahansa behaves like a madman. So now the talk shifts. Paramahansa is like a child. So from child he goes to Paramahansa. Now he wants to talk about Paramahansa. And Paramahansa is not always like a child. Paramahansa is sometimes like a madman. When I experienced that divine madness, I used to worship my own sexual organ as the Shiva phallus, Shiva Lingam. Shiva Lingam, he is in that intoxicated state, finds that his own sex organ is nothing but Shiva Lingam. Everything is same to him. But I can't do that now because the mind has been normalized. Now he is not behaving like a mad, though he is Paramahansa. A few days after the dedication of the temple at Dakshineshwar, now he is describing a real madman, a real Paramahansa who was a mad-like behavior. In Thakur's case, he described one incident. But now we shall come face to face with a Paramahansa who was in a steady way mad-like. A few days after the dedication of the temple at Dakshineshwar, a madman came there who was really a sage, endowed with the knowledge of Brahman. He had a bamboo twig in one hand and a potted mango plant in the other. After bathing in the Ganges, so strange things carrying. After bathing in the Ganges, he didn't perform any religious rites. He ate something that he carried in a corner of his wearing cloth. Then he entered the Kali temple and chanted hymns to the deity. So Paramahamsas, real Paramahamsas, they also know that Kali is Brahman. The temple trembled because the singing was so much from the heart that the temple behaved as if it is conscious. One line I missed, he had a bamboo twig in one hand and a potted mango plant in the other and was wearing torn shoes. He didn't follow any social conventions. After bathing in the Ganges, he didn't perform any religious rites. He ate something that he carried in a corner of his wearing cloth. Then he entered the Kali temple and chanted hymns to the deity. The temple trembled. Haladari, Thakur's cousin brother, who was a Vedantic Pandit but not right sadhak, Haladari was then in the shrine. The madman wasn't allowed to eat at the guest house because the appearance was very peculiar. But he paid no attention to this slight. He searched for food in the rubbish heap where the dogs were eating crumbs from the discarded leaf plates. Absolutely no difference. Food is food. Can we feel that? Can we follow that? The dogs didn't mind either. So dogs felt in his presence, the dogs felt that everything is consciousness. Haladhari followed him and asked, "Who are you? Are you a Purnajnani, a man of full knowledge?" The madman whispered, "Shh, yes, I am a Purnajnani." He accepted that but wanted to keep quiet. My heart began to palpitate as Haladhari told me about it. I clung to Hriday, his nephew. I said to the Divine Mother, "Mother, shall I too have to pass through such a state?" He understood that real men of knowledge do pass through a state of madness. He has described his madness, but now full state like that. We all went to see the man. He spoke words of great wisdom to us, but behaved like a madman before others. So see another thing. If he knows that there is another person who can understand his states, he talks sense. But others, worldly people, he behaves like a madman. Thakur's description is so exact of a Paramahamsa. Haladhari followed him a great way when he left the garden. After passing the gate, he said to Haladhari, "What else shall I say to you? When you no longer make any distinction between the water of this pool and the water of Ganges, then you will know that you have perfect knowledge." So sameness is one of the qualities of the Paramahamsa of full knowledge. So where is the water in a pond? And where is the holiest of the holy Ganges? But say when these two will be same to you, then understand you have full knowledge. In this way, Thakur is describing the full knowledge. People should understand that, try to not copy that, but try to imbibe that spirit. Saying this, he walked rapidly away. He does not want to be further troubled with. Sri Ramakrishna began to talk with M. Other devotees too were present. So after this child Paramahansa madness, he is now talking some other thing. Master to M, how do you feel about Shashadhar, the Pandit with whom twice talk has happened? M, he is very nice. Master, he is very intelligent, isn't he? M, yes, sir, he is very erudite. Actually, there is a difference between erudition and intelligence. Erudition might be effect of intelligence, maybe reading so many books, but intelligence is a quality to understand. Master, according to the Gita, there is a power of God in one who is respected and honored by many. But Shashadhar has still a few things to do. He wants Shashadhar to come on the line of sadhana. What will he accomplish with mere scholarship? He needs to practice some austerity. It is necessary to practice some spiritual discipline. Thakur's judgment of everything is only spiritual progress. Gauri Pandit practiced austerity. He was a Pandit, but he practiced austerity. When he chanted a hymn to the Divine Mother, the other Pandits would seem no more than earthworms. He had a special boon from the Divine Mother. People did not understand that. But when he chanted a shloka, he gained much power, and all the other scholars who had come to debate with him lost their power. That was the effect of his sadhana, that the Divine Mother was pleased with him and given him that boon. Narayana Shastri. Another person who had discussed him, full scholar, saw Thakur, Vairagya developed him, and he took sannyas from Thakur and went to practice sadhana at Vasishtha Ashram near Rishikesh. Narayana Shastri was not merely a scholar either. He practiced sadhana as well. He studied for 25 years without a break. Nyaya alone, he studied for 7 years. Philosophy of logic developed in Bengal. Still, he would go into ecstasy while repeating the name of Shiva. So he had spiritual development a lot. The king of Jaipur wanted to make him his court pandit. He was from Rajasthan. But Narayan refused. He did not want to get stuck up in something. He used to spend much time here. He had a great desire to go to the Vasishtha Ashram to practice tapasya. He often spoke to me about it, but I forbade him to go there. At that he said, "Who knows when I shall die? When shall I practice sadhana? Any day I may crack." After much insistence on his part, I let him go. Some say that he is dead, that he died while practicing austerity. Others say that he is still alive and that they saw him off a railway train. So, future, something happened. Before meeting Keshav, I asked Narayan Shastri to visit him and tell me what he thought of him. Narayan reported that Keshav was an adept in japa. He knew astrology, Narayan Shastri, and remarked that Keshav had been born under a good star. Then I went to visit Keshav in the garden house at Belgaria. Hriday was with me. The moment I saw Keshav, I said, of all the people I see here, he alone has dropped this tail. That is, frogs. When they drop their tail, they can live in water and land both. He can now live on land as well as in water like a frog. That means he has attained special spirituality by which he can continue to live in the world and also make spiritual progress. Keshav sent 3 members of the Brahma Samaj to the temple garden at Dakshineshwar to test me. Prasanna was one of them. Prasanna is the Brahmo devotee, favorite of Keshav, and started loving and adoring Thakur very much. They were commissioned to watch me day and night and to report to Keshav. They were in my room and intended to spend the night there. They constantly uttered the word Dayamaya, kindness, full of kindness, and said to me, follow Keshav Babu. That will do you good. I said, I believe in God with form. Still they went on with their exclamations of Dayamaya. Then a strange mood came over me. I said to them, get out of here. I didn't allow them to spend the night in my room. So they slept on the veranda. Captain also spent the night in the temple garden the first time he visited me. Captain is Vishwanath Upadhyay, the regent of Nepal government there. Thakur endearingly called him captain. He is an aristocrat and yet he slept on the veranda. Michael visited the temple garden. Michael Madhusudan Datta, a great Bengali poet who had converted himself to Christianity. Michael visited the temple garden when Narayan Shastri was living with me. Dwarika Babu, Mathur's eldest son, brought him here. The owners of the temple garden were about to get into a lawsuit with the English proprietors of the neighboring powder magazine, so they wanted Michael's advice. He was a lawyer also. I met him in the big room next to the manager's office. Narayan Shastri was with me. I asked Narayan to talk to him. Michael couldn't talk very well in Sanskrit, which Narayan was talking. He made mistakes. He tried, but he made mistakes. Then they talked in the popular dialect, that is Bengali or Hindi. Narayan must have learned Bengali well by now. Narayan Shastri asked him his reason for giving up the Hindu religion. Pointing to his stomach, Michael said it was for this. Narayan said, what shall I say to a man who gives up his religion for his belly's sake? Thereupon, Michael asked me to say something. I said, he had heard about Thakur and Dwarka Babu had introduced. I don't know why, but I don't feel like saying anything. Someone seems to be pressing my tongue. That means the inner reality. Mr. Chaudhary had obtained his master's degree from Calcutta. So another incident, Michael's incident is over. So he's talking of Pandits who are sadhakas also. Mr. Chaudhary had obtained his master's degree from Calcutta University. Yabar Chaudhary kaun? Oh. Some Mr. Chaudhary was expected to come to Dakshineshwar that day. And so Thakur is talking about him. Let us see if I get something more about Chaudhary. No. No. No, nothing. No, okay. He drew a salary of 300 or 400 rupees in those days. Huh? It was thought to be very huge sum. After the death of his first wife, he had felt intense dispassion for the world. But after some time he had married again. He frequently visited the master at the temple garden. This is what is given here. Master, how mean of him, his vain of his scholarship. Besides, he has married a second time. He looks on the world as a mere made puddle. So in those days, he had some spiritual awakening, but attracted to the world again, married again, and lost his spiritual fervor. And because of his money, he looks on the world as a mud puddle. To the devotees, this attachment to women and gold makes a man small-minded. When I first saw Harmohan, he had many good traits. I longed to see him. He was then 17 or 18 years old, a boy devotee. I used to send for him every now and then, but he wouldn't come. He is now living away from the family with his wife. He had been living with his uncle before. That was very good. He had no worldly troubles. Now he has a separate home and does the marketing for his wife daily. The other day he came to Dakshineshwar. I said to him, go away. Leave this place. I don't even feel like touching you. So how many changes were created in a good spiritual man by marriage and being addicted to his wife, leaving even the company of his uncle and living in a separate room. Sri Ramakrishna went to the inner apartment to see the deity. All this is happening in Balram's house. Huh? He offered some flowers. The ladies of Balram's family were pleased to see him in the inner apartment. That was the system in those days. Ladies would remain in the inner apartment. Up to temple they can come, but not outside where men would sit. The master came back to the drawing room and said, the worldly minded practice devotion, japa and austerity only by fits and starts. No steadiness. But those who know nothing else but God repeat his name with every breath. Some always repeat mentally. Om Rama. Even the followers of the path of knowledge repeat so, I am he. There are others whose tongues are always moving, repeating. In how many ways people chant the name of God? Thakur is an expert man, dealt with all these people and is describing beautifully. One should remember and think of God constantly in whatever form. Now, Pandit Shashadhar entered the room with one or two friends and saluted the master. So, third meeting. Master smiling. We are like the bridesmaids waiting near the bed for the arrival of the groom. welcome him. The Pandit laughed. Thakur welcomes lovingly the Pandit. The room was filled with devotees, among them Dr. Pratap and Balram's father. The master continued his talk. Is he Dr. Pratap? There are two Prataps in Thakur's context. Because that Brahma Pratap would not come to the Rath Parade festival. Pratap doctor. विख्यात homeopathic चिकित्सक प्रताप चंद्र मजुमदार, name is same. नदिया जिलार चापड़ा ग्रामे जन्म, कलिकता चिकित्सा विद्या उच्च शिक्षा प्राप्त. So he was a doctor, homeopath. His house was in other town, but he was in Calcutta. 1885 Christabda, Shampupur, he had the first meeting with Thakur. Then he had gone to Shampupur and Kashipur for Thakur's treatment. Being the holy company of Thakur and seeing his bhava, Pratap Chandra was attracted, charmed. He was also invited in 1893 to World's Columbian Exposition, as a part of which was the Parliament of Religions, where Swamiji was invited. So this is Pratap Doctor, and he was also there. And Balram's father, the master continued his talk. Master to Shashadhar, but he's talking to Shashadhar now. The first sign of knowledge is a peaceful nature, and the second is absence of egotism. You have both. That is encouraging him in that. There are other indications of a jnani. He shows intense dispassion in the presence of a sadhu. He is a lion when at work, for instance, when he lectures, and is full of wit before his wife. This is the Pandit's description. Allah. But the nature of the Vijnani is quite different. One who has realized and is intimate with God, as was the case with Chaitanya Dev. So as a Vijnani, Thakur's ideal example is Chaitanya. He acts like the child or a madman or an inert thing or a ghoul. While in the mood of a child, he sometimes shows childlike guilelessness, sometimes the frivolity of adolescence, child different stages, and sometimes while instructing others, the strength of a young man. Pandit, by what kind of bhakti does one realize God? So, very fundamental question he has asked. Master, three kinds of bhakti are found according to the nature of the man. According to the mind's constitution, the bhakti takes form. Sattvic bhakti, Rajasic bhakti, and Tamasic bhakti. We have seen these gunas. Sattvic bhakti is known to God alone. It makes no outward display. A man with such devotion loves privacy. Perhaps he meditates inside the mosquito net where anybody where nobody sees him. When this kind of devotion is awakened, one hasn't long to wait for the vision of God. This will near to God's vision. The appearance of the dawn in the east shows that the sun will rise before long. Like that, this Sattvic Bhakti is nearer to Trigunatit Bhakti. A man with Rajasic Bhakti which is showy, demonstrative, known to everybody, is the next in kind. And Thakur wants to describe that. A man with Rajasic Bhakti feels like making a display of his devotion before others. He worships the deity with 16 ingredients prescribed in the scriptures, enters the temple wearing a silk cloth, and puts around his neck a string of Rudraksha beads, interspersed here and there with beads of gold and ruby. Full description of a Rajasic Bhakti. A man with Tamasic Bhakti shows the courage and boisterousness of a highway robber. A highway robber goes on his expedition openly, shouting, kill, plunder. He isn't afraid even of 8 police inspectors. The devotee with Tamasic Bhakti also shouts like a madman, Hara Hara Bom Bom, victory to Kali. He has great strength of mind and burning faith. So Thakur is putting the Tamasic Bhakti over Rajasic Bhakti. Though Sattvic is nearer to God. A Shakta has such faith. Now devotees of Kali have that type of faith. That means Vaishnavas not in this category. He says, what? I have uttered once the name of Kali and of Durga. I have uttered once the name of Rama. Can there be any sin in me? So Rama also he brings. And though he says Shakta, let us check up. So Shakta is spirit worshipping Ramachandra. Can there be any sin in me? The Vaishnavas have a very humble and lowly attitude. Looking at Balram's father, they tell their rosary and whine and whimper, O Krishna, be gracious to us, we are wretched, we are sinners. A man should have such fiery faith as to be able to say, even the Vaishnava, I have uttered the name of God, how can I be a sinner? Imagine a man repeating the name of Hari day and night and at the same time saying that he is a sinner. So saying, Sri Ramakrishna became overwhelmed with divine ecstasy and sang. So for him, any spirit, any time, if only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O blessed one, withhold from me deliverance? He is talking to Durga only. Wretched though I may be, I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death. But the heinous of sins he mentions. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness, for through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood. So, this spirit he wants to infuse even in the Vaishnavas. He's not asking us to commit sin, but the strength of devotion. He sang again, "Behold my mother playing with Shiva." So Shaktas describe him, lost in an ecstasy of joy, drank with a draught of celestial wine. She reels and yet she does not fall. That is, she is under full control of herself, but is intoxicated by the divine madness. Erect, she stands on Shiva's bosom, and the earth trembles under her tread. We have discussed this story. She and her lord are mad with frenzy, casting aside all fear and shame. Both are mad, both are beyond this world. Pandit Shashadhar was weeping, so Thakur has achieved the success what he wanted, penetrated Pandit Shashadhar's heart. Vaishnav Charan, the musician, sang. So Vaishnav Charan, not that sage, but Balram has engaged a musician for the return car festival and he sang. O tongue, always repeat the name of Mother Durga. Who but your Mother Durga will save you in distress? Thou art the heavens and the earth, and thou the nether world. From thee have the 12 Gopalas and Hari and Shiva sprung. Okay. The 10 embodiments of divine Shakti are thou, and thou the 10 avatars. This time save me, thou must. The moving and the unmoving, the gross and the subtle are thou. Creation and preservation are thou, and the last resolution. Thou art the primal root of this manifold universe, the mother of the primal root of this manifold universe. Thou art the Shakti of all, and thou thine own Shakti too. So, all the manifestations are from her. She herself is all. As the master listened to the last few lines, this is the Vaishnacharan singing. Huh? He went into an ecstatic mood. The master himself sang, O mother, for Yashoda, thou wouldst dance when she called thee her precious blue jewel. Krishna was blue in color. Where hast thou hidden that lovely form, O terrible Shama? So Kali and Krishna are same. When the Kali had become Krishna, how tender, beautiful was she. Now, where is that? Dance that way once for me, O mother. Throw down thy sword and take the flute. So, beautiful harmonizing song. Cast off thy garland of heads and wear the wildflower garland. If without Shiva thou canst not dance, then let Balaram be thy Shiva. Kali is always with Shiva. Krishna is always with his brother Balaram. Dance, O Shama, as thou didst dance when thou wast Krishna. Mother, play on thy flute again, once so full of delight for the gopis. Play again on thy magic flute, which called the cattle in from the pasture. So when he played on the flute, the cows gathered round him. Stopping the Jamuna's murmuring flow and turning it backward, this flute sound. Hot in the sky, the sun would burn when Yashoda, restless for her Krishna, fondly would call, Here, my Gopal, cream and butter, eat them, my darling. So describing the Krishna Leela to Kali and telling her, be like that. And she would comb his long black hair and carefully braid it. So men also in those days were combing and braiding their hair. Bending the supple body, Krishna's mother, both at the neck, the waist, and the knee. Full description of Krishna. Thou didst dance with thy friend Sri Rama while the two anklets played the music. So Sridham, one of his friends, and they dance. Ta 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 thaya. Oh, first also is thaya. Tathaya tathaya tata thala thala. Different sounds of the drum and dance. Hearing their captivating sound, the gopis would rush there. Again, Pandit Shashadhar shed tears of love. So he has been touched now by the Kali and Krishna sound. Sri Ramakrishna came down to consciousness of the world, pointing to Shashadhar. He said to him, why don't you prod him? He wanted him or some other devotee to ask Shashadhar a question. Ramdayal to Shashadhar. Ramdayal is a Sri Ramakrishna's devotee. The scriptures speak of Brahman's form as a projection of mind. Who is it that projects? So a philosophical question. In mind, Brahman's form is projected. Who projects it? Shashadhar. It is Brahman itself that does so. It is no projection of a man's mind. Brahman's form is not a projection of the man's mind. People think man is just making his own ideas, but that is not true. Brahman has all the forms so that man may become devoted. Pratham. Why does Brahman project the form? Master intervenes here. You ask why? Brahman doesn't act in consultation with others. So Brahman is beyond anything causing him to do something. This question is irrelevant. Why can be asked only when we suppose so many things that some power or something can compel him. There is something other than Brahman. Brahman acts under somebody. So this is all wrong. So Thakur intervenes. You ask why? Brahman doesn't act in consultation with others. It is Brahman's pleasure. Brahman is self-willed. That is the main thing. Why should we try to know the reason for Brahman's acting this way or that? You have come to the orchard to eat mangoes. That enjoy the bliss with Brahman. Eat that mangoes. What is the good of calculating how many trees there are in the orchard, how many thousands of branches, and how many millions of leaves? He wanted somebody to ask question, but that question should be relevant, and he has got a beautiful answer also. But the supplementary question is not relevant. What is the good of calculating how many trees there are in the orchard, how many thousands of branches, and how many millions of leaves? One cannot realize truth by futile arguments and reasoning. Pratap, shouldn't we reason any more then? Reason has so many types. Master, I am asking you not to indulge in futile reasoning. Clear. But reason by all means about the real and the unreal, about what is permanent and what is transitory. This is discrimination, always necessary for a jnani or for a devotee. You must reason when you are overcome by lust, anger, or grief. So, by discrimination, you can come out or control your passions. Shashadhar, that is different, he understands. Huh? It is called reasoning based on discrimination. Master, yes, discrimination between the real and the unreal. All sat in silence. Again the master spoke, addressing the Pandit. Master, formerly many great men used to come here. Great men, Shashadhar said, you mean rich people? Master, no, great scholars. In the meantime, the small car of Jagannath had been brought to the veranda. Inside the car were the images of Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra, his sister. They were adorned with flowers, garlands, jewelry, and yellow apparel. Balaram was a sattvic worshipper. There was no outward grandeur in his worship. Outsiders did not even know of this car festival in his house. Oh, the master and the devotees went to the veranda. Sri Ramakrishna pulled the car by the rope. Then he began to sing. See how all Nadia is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love. Nadia is Navadvip, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace, and Govinda Chaitanya is dancing in spiritual ecstasy, and the Navadvip is shaking. He sang again, behold, the two brothers, Nityananda was like a brother to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have come who weep while chanting Hari's name, the brothers who, in return for blows, offer to sinners Hari's love. That Jagai and Madai were ruffians and they hit Nityananda with bricks. Nityananda pleaded and yet is asking for them to come and join his love. Sri Ramakrishna danced with the devotees. The musician and his party joined the master in the music and dancing. Soon the whole veranda was filled with people. The ladies witnessed the scene of joy from an adjoining room. It appeared as if Chaitanya himself were dancing with the devotees, intoxicated with joy and love. It was not yet dusk. Sri Ramakrishna returned to the drawing room with the devotees. Master, to Shashadhar. This is called Bhajanananda, the bliss of devotees in the worship of God. Worldly people keep themselves engrossed in the joy of sensuous objects of woman and gold. Through worship, devotees receive the grace of God and then his vision. Then they enjoy Brahmananda, the bliss of Brahman. So the talk will continue. We shall take it up tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviridisam Kalmashapam Shranam Shri Madatatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.